When I saw Call of Duty Black Ops 7 get announced this year, I was a little bit skeptical, like most people were. We've kind of seen this thing happen before with Call of Duty, where they did Modern Warfare 2 and then Modern Warfare 3 right after, and that was very much so just copy and paste. Here's the same game again, but with some new maps. It was essentially a DLC that they wanted to charge people $70 for. Now, I initially would think that Black Ops 7 would kind of just end up doing the same exact thing as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in 2023 did, but it really didn't. I don't really think this game is as similar to Black Ops 6 as you might think it is at first. Yeah, it's still a similar game, but that's because all Call of Duty games are similar, especially in the past 6 years. And so, naturally, in a lot of ways, it is kind of Black Ops 6 with a new coat of paint, as Modern Warfare 3 is a coat of paint for Modern Warfare 2, and Black Ops 6 was basically just a reskin of Cold War. I mean, let's get real. It's Call of Duty. All of these Call of Duty games have kind of been relatively similar for a long time. And that's because the actual gameplay loop is the same. That's what Call of Duty players like, such as myself, and I don't really have an issue with it. And to be honest, I think it's a little bit ridiculous that people think that this is something that's somehow new with Black Ops 7, because I'm telling you right now it's not. Call of Duty has kind of always done this yearly release system where the previous year is kind of similar to the next year. And the only time that the game doesn't really get those kind of critiques is when it's put a completely different coat of paint on it. Like when you look at Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War and then Call of Duty Vanguard, and it's like, okay, well, it's different because now Vanguard has World War II aesthetics instead of the Cold War. But people also hated Vanguard. People hate a lot of different Call of Duties for different reasons. But at the end of the day, it's kind of all Call of Duty. And if you don't like Call of Duty, you're not going to like the newest Call of Duty. If you're one of those people that thinks the series peaked with Black Ops 2, you're not going to like any Call of Duty that came out after it. I still had a little bit of excitement for this game as time went on, as we got closer to release. I played the beta, and I thought the beta was pretty fun. So, I ended up buying the full game, and I wasn't sure if I was going to before that. But I buy the new Call of Duty game basically every year. I am considering myself a Call of Duty fan. I played Black Ops 6 last year. I played Modern Warfare 3 before that. I played Modern Warfare 2 before that. I've played every single Call of Duty game on release since Advanced Warfare, but I also did play Black Ops 2 and Ghosts and Modern Warfare 3 all in their primes, and a little bit of Black Ops 1 technically, but it was, barely even memorable, not even at my house. But I have played every single Call of Duty ever created, and I've played a good amount of all of them. And I will do videos on every other Call of Duty game as well, but, this one just came out. I've been playing it, and I really want to talk about it. And, this excitement didn't really stop, even when the game released and people were hating it. I honestly, on release, kind of didn't understand why people were hating this game so much, and I posted a video kind of talking about it, because, people will always find a reason to complain. And don't get me wrong, this game is not perfect. There's many issues with it, and I'm going to get to that in this video. I'm going to talk about the good and the bad and the everything. But I think that people love to run with the narrative that now COD is dead, as if this is just anything different that we've gotten for the past 6 years, when it's just not. It's kind of always been this thing where the new Call of Duty comes out and people are like, oh, Call of Duty's dead, it sucks. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, this game actually isn't so bad. And then they'll forget about it, and then the next Call of Duty will come out. And then, in 5 years' time, they'll go, wow, I really liked Black Ops 7. Just like how now people are saying they really love Cold War, when I remember when that game launched, people did not love it that much. But I will say this year really, really, really had a large influx of people that were just purely hating on the game. And I think a lot of those people didn't even play it, so, take that as you will. But I feel like the people that really, really bitched and moaned and complained about it are also people that don't really like Call of Duty. Because if you're someone who does like Call of Duty, you're gonna like this game. Like, if you like modern Call of Duty games, you're gonna like the game. I really don't see any reason why you wouldn't, because it's kind of more of that. And I don't know why anybody would have ever expected anything other than that, to be honest. And so to kind of act like Black Ops 7 is somehow the death of the series when previous games also did the same shit is a little bit ridiculous. And I think it's especially ridiculous because this game actually did things that the Call of Duty community has been asking for a long time. Namely skill-based matchmaking and persistent lobbies. That's something that the community has begged for, and Tactical sprint was something that was kind of keeping older players from playing. It's like, wow, these games are too fast paced now. Tactical sprint's ridiculous. It adds a new element of movement where tryhards are just ridiculously better than everybody else, and it makes it unfun to play and whatever. And they actually did change that, and they didn't do carry forward from Black Ops 6 because people didn't want stupid cell shaded unrealistic skins. And I feel like now that they're finally listening to the community, now all of a sudden people are mad, which doesn't make any sense because they're actually doing what people asked of them. And not just that, but they also, not that they beat the nostalgia bait allegations, because they didn't, but I feel like this game actually has less nostalgia bait than Black Ops 6 did, like by a long shot. And I see a lot of people really complaining about nostalgia bait, but this game doesn't really have that much nostalgia bait, Yeah, it exists. Yeah, it has Nuketown, but every Black Ops game has Nuketown. That's not new. Yeah, there's some remastered maps that they brought over from Black Ops 2 and other games, Black Ops 3, I believe, as well. And it's like, yeah, they're bringing back maps, but they've been bringing back maps since Black Ops 2. It might have even been earlier, but I definitely know in Black Ops 2, they brought back maps from Black Ops 1. So I don't know why people are really complaining about that. This game launched with 18 maps, and I believe 14 or 15 of them, something like that, were original, which is the most original maps that we have gotten in a Call of Duty release in a long time. So I don't know where people were kind of coming from, thinking that the whole thing was just a remaster when it's not. Modern Warfare 3 was pretty much, I think, literally all remastered maps from the original Modern Warfare 2, which was weird. That was definitely glorified DLC territory. But I don't know why I'm seeing more hate about this game than I did about that game, when that absolutely had worse issues than this game does in that regard. And nostalgia bait is just like a really big talking point, also because of the campaign. And while I kind of see it, I also kind of don't. Like, some of the missions are supposed to be throwbacks, and they're supposed to be like taking place in Black Ops 2 universe, or they're supposed to be a throwback to Black Ops 1 campaign, or whatever. And like, I get why people say that it's nostalgia bait. I'm not going to necessarily disagree with it in that sense. But it also, in a lot of ways, the campaign doesn't feel like it's trying to recapture anything from the past. And when I think of nostalgia bait, I think of a company trying to recapture it. And I don't really think they're doing that. I think they are trying to tell a sequel of Black Ops 2. Whether that's good or bad, I'm gonna get to that, but that's, I think, what they're doing. I don't think they're trying to really pander. I mean, maybe a little, but I don't really think it's as humongous of a deal as people are saying. But anyways, I think people online are a little bit crazy. I think, while, yes, this is not a perfect game, and there's a lot of long-standing issues with Call of Duty that I think people are really starting to realize now with this game, I do think that the backlash, in general, is kind of a little much, just considering. But like I said, I believe the past few weeks have kind of seen the pure vitriol that people have for this game and series kind of go away, or at least die down a little bit. So, anyways, really long-winded intro, but I kind of had a lot to say. But yeah, so I'm gonna talk about the entire game. So essentially, I'm gonna talk about the campaign. I'm gonna talk about endgame. I'm gonna talk about zombies, and I'm gonna talk about multiplayer. And I'm gonna do that with different parts of the game, kind of just sprinkled in there in between. I'm mostly speaking just off the cuff right now. I have a few notes written down just to make sure that I kind of hit on all the points I want to. But generally speaking, this is kind of a free flow. I'm speaking just as the thoughts come to me type video. With that being said, first, let's talk about the campaign. Now, I already said people are talking about it like crazy, which, that is, I think that's the biggest criticism people have in terms of just pure gameplay is, wow, this campaign is super dog shit. This campaign is straight shit from an ass. And I hear it. I get it. I do. I personally, just to preface this, my opinion is based on the fact that I have not beaten very many Call of Duty campaigns. I've beaten Call of Duty 4's campaign, I've beaten World at War's campaign, and as far as I can remember, that's it. So I've don't get me wrong though, I've dabbled. I'm stuttering, but I've dabbled in most Call of Duty campaigns, like a little bit of Modern Warfare 2019 I played, in Cold War, and Modern Warfare 2 2022, and I definitely dabbled in Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3, the original, and Modern Warfare 2, the original. And Advanced Warfare, like whatever. I'm just listing off games. I have dabbled in all of them, even when I haven't beaten them. So I have experience with the campaigns. I just don't have like full, complete experience with the different campaigns. So this campaign is online only. A lot of people really hate that. I also hate that. I'm not going to defend that. I think it's fucking stupid that a campaign needs to be online only. That's kind of dumb. There should at least be an offline option. I honestly don't know if that's unique to this game, though. Something tells me it's not. I really kind of think that they've been online only since Modern Warfare 2 2022. I think that's the case. I could be wrong, but I think they have been online only for a while, but people are only noticing it now for some reason. But that's just because, oh, you know, there's just another reason to hate on this game. So I don't know. I think that's been a thing. I could be wrong, though. I just want to say it's possible that's been a thing, and that might not just be this game. But either way, it's a problem. I don't think they should have online only at all for campaign. That's fucking stupid. They absolutely should at least have an option to play offline, and there isn't. So that is definitely stupid. But the actual campaign itself, I don't really think is a Call of Duty campaign in the sense of what people want out of a Call of Duty campaign. And I do think that the Call of Duty campaign formula from the games that I've played is a little bit tired, where it's just like, oh, here's this big bad guy that is starting some kind of terrorist group, or they're, you know, the leader of a government, or they're this one big really bad guy, and you kind of need to stop them. And they might have access to nukes or whatever, and you need to do a special military operation. So here's your stealth mission, and here's your high action mission, and here's your more cinematic mission, and whatever. And you kind of do that, and then at the end, you win and beat the bad guy. And there's, you know, obviously more nuance to it than that. There's more little story beats here and there, but, you know, generally speaking, that's kind of how most of them go from what I've played and what I know. And you know, that's all well and good. I guess people, you know, want that. They kind of want a shooting gallery type experience in a campaign. And so that's not what this campaign is at all. There is still Big Bad Guy, which is in the form of Kagan. I forget her first name. It's like Emily or some shit. Emily Kagan. You know, that shows she's super memorable anyway. And, you know, essentially she's the guild, which is Menendez from Black Ops 2, his organization. They're trying to take over the world 10 years after Menendez died, and to do that, they're using this gas called Cradle, which is basically just gas that reveals your biggest fear, which I believe is literally Scarecrow gas from fucking Batman. I think that's literally what Scarecrow gas is. I could be a little bit inaccurate in that, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it is that Scarecrow gas shows you your fears. And that's literally what it is, so I don't know, that's not really that original of an idea, and I will say the actual story itself is hella basic. That's literally it, and you're trying to stop Kagan, and you're in your little squad, and, you know, there's some parts where it, you know, talks about the past, and, you know, you play as Alex Mason, which is David Mason's, or you play as David Mason, which is Alex Mason's son. I can't even remember. I'm actually going to double check that right now. I have the game open. Cool, it just says Mason. I think you play, I want to say you play as David Mason and your dad is Alex. I honestly could be so wrong. I don't know. Either way, you play as either Alex Mason or David Mason. You know, correct me in the comments if you'd like. Obviously, I didn't get too invested because I can't even remember that. And I don't even remember all the names of the people. But anyway, you're there. You're trying to defeat Kagan and stop her from doing the cradle gas. And, you know, that's cool. And I think, you know, it's a basic story. It's still kind of a similar concept to the previous games. So there's that. But the story is low-key kind of just whatever. I mean, I don't think it's the worst story ever, but I don't think it's very good either. I think it's just like, it's a story. I didn't really get invested at all in the characters. There was no emotional moment. There was no moment where I felt anything. Like, and a lot of the dialogue is also written in like a millennial Marvel movie, which kind of pisses me off. Like genuinely, that kind of writing that's like, he's white behind me, isn't he? And, you know, that's a little bit stupid. I don't think Call of Duty needed that. I don't think anything needs that. It's kind of fucking annoying, to be honest. I hate that kind of dialogue. I don't find it funny. I don't really know who does, except a very niche group of people that for some reason think that writing like that for video games is good, when it's just not. It's not good writing. I don't think the writing at all actually is good. And so I know it sounds like I'm really tearing apart the campaign, but I haven't talked about the actual gameplay yet. And if I'm being honest, and like I said, I don't think this is a good Call of Duty campaign, because it's not. It's not what people wanted. It's not what a Call of Duty campaign, I think, is supposed to be for most people. And I don't like the story, and I think the characters are forgettable and whatever, and that's what I think about that. But the actual gameplay of the campaign, I thought was pretty fun. Like, honestly, I'm just being honest. I thought the gameplay was fun. I thought it was kind of interesting, what they did with it in terms of, like, you know, the mission where you're like in a big city and things are falling apart, and you have to do a little bit of parkour, and you have to like jump, you know, and not jump in front of cars, and then, you know, there's a moment where you're in like David or Alex Mason, whichever, you're in the house, like a little cabin, and there's like kind of zombies that come towards you, and there's almost like a Fortnite circle around you, and then like there's a nightmare sequence where you're fighting this grotesque looking boss, and then you actually fight Harper as a big boss, which was a huge thing that people were complaining about. Was like, wow, what the hell, this is not Call of Duty, what's going on here, this is fucking stupid. And while I think story wise it's fucking dumb, I think gameplay wise it's fun. Actually, I had a good time. I played it with Zimmy. Shout out Zimmy, because the footage you're seeing right now is from him, his perspective recording the campaign, and I think it was fun. I really do think the campaign was fun, and I think it was challenging at points, even like where we kind of struggled sometimes, but not that bad. It was never like, you know, unfair. It was just whatever. And so I think gameplay wise it was actually really fun. It's some of the most fun that I honestly can say I've had in a Call of Duty campaign. I think most of the time I haven't finished Call of Duty campaigns is because the gameplay is just so repetitive, but not in a repetitive way that I like, where it is just kind of shooting gallery after shooting gallery, and it's always a little bit free. Sometimes it can be a little difficult, but it's just, like, I've just never really liked them that much. But gameplay-wise, I honestly enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't, because I did. I did enjoy it. But the actual story was forgettable. And even though, like I said, I liked the gameplay, there's a big issue, because half of the missions are in Avalon, in an open world map, and the missions are just shit. Those half of the missions are ass. You're just in the same setting for all of those missions, and you go and you just do like little random shit, or you blow something up or whatever, and they're really short and like shitty. We beat the campaign in like 3 hours, and that's pretty short, even for Call of Duty campaign standards. That's a little short. You know, not that I don't really care that it's short, but I just mean half of that runtime, or not half the runtime, but half of the missions are just really shit. You don't really go anywhere new or see anything new, and that's kind of annoying and not fun. So, you know, half of it was a little boring, but at least those missions are shorter. And then the other half was, I thought, pretty entertaining and like generally pretty fun. I kind of liked the gameplay. With that being said, though, I think I need to give the campaign overall a 3 out of 10, maybe a 2 out of 10. I thought that the gameplay for half of it was really fun. So even if I'm saying I liked half of it, I disliked half of it, and it's a 5 out of 10, you know, I still got to knock it down a couple pegs because of the story. And I know some people do really like Call of Duty stories. I just generally am not. I'm not super invested in the regular Call of Duty campaign lore or anything like that. I've never really found them that interesting. I did really like Call of Duty 4's campaign, though, when I had played it. But other than that, you know, I haven't really cared that much. So, you know, with that being said, I think the whole point of a campaign is to tell a compelling story. And half of it kind of sucked gameplay-wise, and the story wasn't very compelling. I thought it was fine. I mean, the reason why you're doing all this wacky shit and you're fighting these crazy bosses is because you got hit with the cradle. You got hit with the gas that makes you scared and crazy and hallucinate. So that's why, you know, all those crazy things happen. It's not like it's a different dimension or something. It's like, you know, that's happening because you're affected by, you know, the whole thing, the whole issue, basically. So anyways, yeah, so with that being said, 3 out of 10. I mean, you could even bring it down to a 2 out of 10, to be honest. But I wouldn't give it a 0, though. I think just the gameplay on half of the missions being fun, you know, made it so it didn't really drag that bad, I don't think. And I think there's definitely some story moments that were fun to laugh at least. So it's not like so bad that it's boring. It's more like so bad that it's kind of fun, to be honest. So yeah, and the reason why I beat it like day 2 or something of release because I wanted to get to Endgame, which I'm going to talk about. Um, but before I talk about that, though, I want to talk about the movement and abilities in this game. So there's no more tack sprint, like I said before, except in endgame and campaign. And you know, tack sprint has been a staple for the last 4 games, and I do think that tack sprint, for me, honestly, is pretty fun. I like tack sprint in Call of Duty games, and in campaign and in endgame, the tack sprint's there. And it is there in multiplayer as well, but it's a perk, so it's not just permanently there, and it's a perk that doesn't just give you tack sprint. I believe it also takes something else away. But you know, tack sprint as just like a core movement feature is now not really in the game anymore, except in endgame and campaign. And that's fine, I guess. I mean, I like tack sprint though, so that is a little bit unfortunate for me because I don't know, something about tack sprint is fun for me, but yeah, that's not there anymore. You get a wall bounce that kind of replaces it, and I do like the wall bounce a lot. I think, you know, its gameplay at first seems limited, but once you get used to it being there, it's actually really fun to just bounce off of walls and try to do jump shots in multiplayer, and you know, just like get to higher places that way, and you know, it's just fun. It's just kind of fun. So there's abilities in this game, and the abilities in campaign and endgame is what I'm talking about. And the abilities are like a grappling hook or a super jump, or like a little teleport, and I think they're pretty cool. I don't think they're like, whoa, you know, this is the best thing ever, but I think they're kind of cool. I think honestly the grappling hook is the only reasonable choice in endgame, because endgame is open world, so you know, you're gonna want the grappling hook to get around, to be honest. I don't think you're gonna want anything else. You're gonna want the fucking grappling hook. I mean, maybe I could see somebody using the other shit, but I wouldn't. And then you also have like kind of score streak type specialist weapons. You have like a war machine, and you have a hand cannon, which is like the Annihilator from Black Ops 3, and then the war machine from Black Ops 3. You know, I don't even know if there is, but if there is a flamethrower, then yeah, it's just like Black Ops 3, I guess. But anyway, my point is, you know, those exist, and I think it's fine in endgame. It's whatever. And honestly, I'm not really sure if I like the movement more in this game or in previous games, because in Black Ops 6, I thought the movement was really, really fun and good. And I think without tack sprint, it can feel a little bit weird after playing Black Ops 6 and having tack sprint for years. But I don't think it's bad. I don't know if I prefer having the wall bounce over tack sprint, because it is kind of nice to not require tack sprint anymore. But either way, yeah, that's the movement. But that, you know, kind of goes into endgame. So endgame is essentially a new extraction game mode, which is similar to DMZ from Modern Warfare 2. And, you know, from what I've heard, and I'd never played DMZ in Modern Warfare 2. And it's very similar to Modern Warfare Zombies and Modern Warfare 3. It takes place on the Avalon map, which I do like. I enjoy the map. It does feel a little bit samey, though, in comparison to previous Black Ops games particularly, but I think it's fine. And it's split into different zones that are divided by level, and these levels are gained by doing activities around the map, and you gain skills from leveling up, and there's different branches that you can go off of. The activities around the map that you do in order to level up faster are cool, but they do get a little bit repetitive, and they spawn in the same places every game, so you kind of just learn where shit's at. And it does get a little bit repetitive, and I hope that they change it up for future seasons. I kind of doubt they will, but I hope so. But overall, I do enjoy the addition of the game mode. I mean, it's good to throw on while, you know, you have a podcast on or just some random YouTube video, and it does add a little bit more to do other than zombies multiplayer, which I think is good. You know, most Call of Duty games with campaign, you kind of just beat the campaign, and that's it, and then you have zombies and multiplayer, and that's the whole game is zombies and multiplayer. And that's also something else I want to touch on about the campaign, is I think people are saying, wow, this whole game is shit because the campaign sucks. But I don't even see that many people complaining about multiplayer and zombies. It's like, oh yeah, the whole game is the campaign. And I think if you're still buying Call of Duty for the campaign, that's wild. I'm sure there are people out there that do buy Call of Duty for the campaign. But Call of Duty has been a multiplayer and zombies experience for like 15 years. Like, yes, the campaigns are there, and yes, some of them are good and people enjoy them. But generally speaking, like, the past 15 years of Call of Duty has been built around the multiplayer and zombies experience, and the campaign is just kind of there because it's a legacy feature. And when they didn't have it in Black Ops 4, people were kind of mad. So they brought it back after that for Modern Warfare and Cold War and so on. And I think, while that's cool and some people really like that, and people enjoy the campaign, if you think that Call of Duty is just the campaign, you're kind of silly. Just saying, just throwing it out there, because realistically speaking, it's multiplayer and zombies that people really play for. That's what people are going to continuously play until the next game comes out. The campaign, for the vast majority of players, is something that they won't even touch. But if they do touch it, then they probably won't beat it. And if they do beat it, they're only beating it once. And then that's it. And then they're going to continue on to multiplayer and zombies, and that's what they're going to play. So, with that being said, I don't think because a campaign is bad, that's fair to say the whole game is dog shit. Because Black Ops 3, in my opinion, and many others, is that it's one of the best Call of Duty games. I love Black Ops 3. I love the multiplayer. I love the zombies a lot. But that campaign is notoriously dog shit. But that doesn't mean the whole game is dog shit. And I don't think people really claim that much that Black Ops 3 is dog shit. So many people love that game. But the campaign is ass. So, anyway. With that being said, though, I like Endgame. I like how now there really is a third game mode that I personally like playing. Because previously when they did, like, third game mode stuff, like with Special Ops, I just didn't really care for it that much. And I didn't really, want to play it that bad. But now that, the campaign is completely, transformed into Endgame once you beat the campaign, I think that's cool. And actually, you don't even need to beat the campaign anymore. I think they made Endgame accessible for everybody like a week after release. So now, if you wanted to play Endgame, you could do that without having to beat the campaign first. So that's cool. But yeah, I do enjoy Endgame. I mean, I do think, like I said, it's a little repetitive, but generally speaking, it's fun. I mean, it's a very like turn off brain type of experience, which I enjoy. I think most of my casual gaming these days ends up being a kind of turn off brain like experience. And whenever I'm playing a game that isn't a turn off brain experience, I'm playing it for a video. So it's kind of like the most casual sort of relaxing experience I can have while playing video games is doing shit like that. And I've actually almost gotten the mastery camo in Endgame. So that could also be part of why it's repetitive. I played a stupid amount of it in like the first week of release. And I haven't played the game that much in the last week. And I know Season 1 came out, and the gameplay you're going to see for multiplayer and zombies shows that I'm playing during Season 1 in the footage. But that's all, really, the footage for those sections is all I have played of Season 1. Because the shit just came out, and I haven't really played the game in like a week. But actually, it's not even because I didn't want to. It's because I was busy doing other things. So, anyway, I think that Endgame is generally good. I think it's a nice bonus addition to the game. I think if it wasn't there, it wouldn't necessarily be the biggest loss ever. I don't think people would be begging for it because it hasn't existed before. But I think the fact that it is there is good. I mean, even if it was worse than it is now, I think having more shit to do in a game is generally a net positive. So, I like it. And I would like to give it a 6 out of 10 because I don't think it's the best thing ever, but I think it's good. I think it's better than mid, but just a little bit better than mid. Yeah. So, let's talk about the gunplay and the uniqueness of weapons. And I think the sound design and gun feel in this game is pretty good, and a lot of guns do feel a little bit unique, but they also kind of look sort of similar. I will say that the differences in weapons look more substantial than they did in previous Call of Duty games, but I think that's because this game is futuristic, and when you think of Black Ops 2 weapons, you can kind of picture them in your head if you played the game before. Like, if I say the Vector SMG, you'll think about that, you'll recognize it. If I say the Scorpion Evo, you'll kind of think about it and recognize it. If I say the M27 Assault Rifle, you'll think about it, you'll recognize it. If I say the fucking, whatever, what have you, PDW 57, and I'm just naming these off the top of my head. I remember the DSR-50 and the Ballista, and I remember the SVU, and I haven't played Black Ops 2 in years, but I still can remember these different weapons because they're iconic, and you remember them, and you could imagine aiming down sights with them. I loved using the MP7 in Black Ops 2 multiplayer, and these are memorable weapons, and I think those memorable weapons, in the Remington and the KSG, I just keep thinking of them. These memorable weapons make a memorable experience, and when you have these unique weapons, I think that adds a lot to the game, and I think Black Ops 7 does a better job than the past, like, 5 games did in that regard. Like, since Black Ops 4, I don't really think there's been any memorable Call of Duty weapons, to be honest. And I think maybe that's just because when they all have names like NPC-25 and, KMV-58, I don't even know if that's real, but it fucking could be. I don't know. When they all have names like that, it's kind of hard to remember, but when I think about, like, Black Ops 3, and I think of the simplicity of those names, like, I think about the Dracon, and I think about, the damn ICR, and I think about the Pharaoh, and I think about the Brekkie, and I think about the Haymaker. Like, all of those, to me, are very, very unique, because it's not just 3 letters and then a number. I guess ICR 10 is, but you know what I mean. Like, generally speaking, those guns are a little bit more memorable because the names aren't as simple. But in this game, when a gun is called the MPC-25, it's like, okay, well, that's, they didn't think too hard for that. The M8A1, which is from Black Ops 2 as well. And then there's the MXR-17, which is an assault rifle. And then there's the MK-78 LMG. The names are... I'm looking at this right now in the game. The M15 Mod Zero. Some of them are kind of more memorable. Like the Maddox RFB, I believe, was in Black Ops 4. And then, of course, there's the Peacekeeper. But like RK9... Razor 9mm, Drevek 45, Carbon 57. These aren't really memorable names to me. XM 325, M34 Nova Line. Something like the Shadow SK to me is a little bit more. But anyway, my point being that the names in this game are better than previous games a little bit, and the actual look of them is a little bit better. But I don't think that gun names are as unique as they used to be in Call of Duty, and I don't think they look as unique either. And that isn't like a thing that's going to kill the game for anybody, I don't think. That's not something I think most people care about. But I think about it, I remember the Commando and Stoner from Black Ops 1. I remember whatever. A lot of shit. The Intervention Sniper in fucking Modern Warfare 2. And I don't think we've had, like, these iconic weapons that have, like, a lasting impact since, like, Black Ops 3. But anyways, yeah. So now let's talk about the multiplayer of this game, which is what the majority of the player base spends their time on, and kind of including me. I think I usually kind of split between multiplayer and zombies, but I think the majority of people stick to multiplayer. So skill-based matchmaking is the first thing. They finally did add a new game mode where skill-based matchmaking isn't in it. And it's open. It's just called Open Mosh Pit, and people still found a fucking reason to bitch. Which is fucking stupid. Get real. Why are we now bitching? And then, at the same time, people are mad because skill-based matchmaking is now, they changed it for Season 1, where, like, now it's at the top of the featured category. But it's literally just standard mosh pit. That's the only one that they have where there is skill-based matchmaking. And then every single other playlist in the entire fucking game is open playlist, not skill-based matchmaking. So why are we acting as if, why are we acting like skill-based they're trying to push skill-based matchmaking more? No, they said that they did that just because they have noticed a higher volume of players going to the standard mosh pit rather than the open matchmaking. And I do kind of get it, because for a lot of people, skill-based matchmaking actually is pretty good because it helps them find games that are a little bit more aligned to them. And sometimes it can be a little faulty, though, and I've noticed that before, where I'll have a few games that are really good, and then I'll have a few games that are really shit. And I think, there's issues with that, but I think there's also issues with open matchmaking. I think a lot of people think, for some reason, that open matchmaking has skill-based matchmaking in it. And I don't think that's true. They're like, why am I always in lobbies with people that are prestiged? And why am I always in lobbies where people are this good? And why am I... Well, people don't realize you're kind of rolling the dice when you go into an open matchmaking game. Like, if, 50 other people just click that button, and half of those people are dog shit and half those people are fucking goated, then, you can kind of reasonably expect that you're going to have some games where you're getting your shit gaped and stretched open, and other games where you are actively assaulting the other team. And I think I've kind of had my share of both in this game. I think that the open playlist is kind of exactly what I thought it would be. It's kind of my exact experience that I've had before skill-based matchmaking was a thing. And so I don't really know why people are kind of acting like or thinking that there's skill-based matchmaking in it, because it's not. I do notice the difference. So yeah, but people always find a reason to complain. They think that there's still skill-based matchmaking in the open playlist, and I can tell you there's not. If you think there is, that's because you're convincing yourself there is. It's definitely different, and I'm like Prestige 4 in this game, so I've played it a lot. Like I'm not just like someone who played a little bit of the game, or I've dabbled. Like I've played a lot of the game. I played a lot of multiplayer and endgame and zombies. Like I can tell you, and I played a lot of Black Ops 6 as well. I played a lot of Call of Duty, just in my life, and especially the past 5 years. I put a stupid amount of time into a lot of Call of Duty games, so I can tell you that it is definitely open matchmaking. I know what open matchmaking was like before, and it's kind of like this. You're actually kind of more likely to get fucked, I think, sometimes in open matchmaking. But it's a total roll of the dice, though. You're not really going to get like 10 games in a row where it's super, playing out super well for you, unless you're just really good at the game. I think the average player is probably going to see like a mixed bag, because that's literally what it is. But anyways, I do think that, skill-based matchmaking can be good in some ways for people. And I think, maybe in some games I've gotten better lobbies because of it. But either way, they removed it. Or not removed it, but they added a new playlist, so people that don't want it don't have to have it. So, that helps people not bitch, but people always bitch. So whatever. I think it's still worth noting that they did that, though. Yeah. So game modes are still here, as, you still have the classic domination, team deathmatch, kill confirmed, hardpoint. Those are kind of like the main ones that most people play. And that's cool. That's, all well and good. There's a new game mode. I can't remember the name of it. It's a little underwhelming. Whatever. They add underwhelming game modes all the time. People don't really care for new game modes that much. There are a few that I really have liked in the past, and then they just never brought them back for whatever fucking reason. But yeah, so that's, a thing, I guess, game mode wise, whatever. It's Call of Duty, same shit. But the maps are actually pretty fun. I think there's a larger selection of brand new maps that were not previously in Call of Duty, and there's a few new maps as well. But generally speaking, there are way more new maps, and I actually don't really have any new maps that I actively dislike, and that's crazy, because in the past, there have absolutely been maps in Call of Duty games that I'm like, wow, this fucking sucks. I wish I was not playing on this map. I think they've really fucked up. Like, Modern Warfare 2, 2022 notoriously had dog shit maps. And yeah, that game did definitely have some bad maps. I think Vanguard had some okay maps, but some real dog shit. Cold War had some, like, decent maps. But I do think this game kind of brings back, like, better, a little bit more memorable maps, to be honest. I think I like the colors in the maps. I like the 3 lanes, it's like a classic Call of Duty style. I like how some of them are a little bit more medium sized, but you still have some really small ones too. Black Ops 6, I think, overly focused on really tiny maps. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good mix. I think the maps are actually pretty good. I think they're better than they've been in a while, so that's good. Create a class, score streaks, field upgrades. It's same shit as it's been the past few years. I mean, if you're not aware, it's just like a pick 10 system, where you get, primary weapons, secondary, you get a wild card, which will be like, oh, you could have more attachments, or you can have an extra perk, or you can do this and that, whatever. It's been like that for a long time. And then you have different perks, like if you want to swap weapons faster, or if you want to not show up from UAVs, or just whatever. Just like little bonus stuff that you put on your creative class. It's the standard Call of Duty system. It's, is what it is. It's what it has been for a long time. So yeah, there's that. This game does have a kind of high time to kill, I've noticed. I don't really know if it's actually slower than other games. Maybe it's just the weapons I've used in multiplayer, but I do think that from Black Ops 6 at least, the time to kill in this game is a little bit faster. I think you kill people faster, or sorry, not faster, I meant slower. I think you kill people faster in Black Ops 6. I think the time to kill is higher, takes longer to do to get a kill. And I think that's, fine, I guess. It depends on really how you feel about it. For me, it doesn't really bother me. And also, I want to say, I don't really think this game is total copy and paste of Black Ops 6. Like, yeah, it's Call of Duty, so it's similar, but it does feel a lot more futuristic in a lot of different ways, and I like that. I'm kind of glad that we finally went back to another futuristic game. We haven't had one in 7 years, so. But anyway, yeah, and I think if they continue nurturing multiplayer, I think if they continue, through this game's life cycle, adding new original maps that people like, while still, adding some old ones as they have been doing for a long time, then it can be good. I think if they add more creative weapons to the game, especially, I think that'd be really good. And I do see a lot of potential in it throughout the next year, and I'm really glad that I'm enjoying it, I mean, I don't think it's the best Call of Duty multiplayer of all time or anything, but I think it's good. I mean, I like Call of Duty multiplayer, generally speaking. I think that it might be better than Black Ops 6, I don't know, but Black Ops 6 was definitely my favorite COD in a long time, so I don't know, it might be better than Black Ops 6, I might need a little bit more time to really decide that, but I can say it's definitely better than Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2, the new ones, is what I mean, and I think it's better than Vanguard, and I think it's better than Cold War, and better than Modern Warfare 2019, probably, as well. Anything before that, I don't know, it's probably better than World War 2 in 2017, but, yeah, so with that being said, my point is, it's not the fucking worst Call of Duty game of all time. So to answer the question in the title, before I even talk about zombies, no, Black Ops 7 is not that bad. It's another Call of Duty game. I don't know what people expected. But yeah, and I'm not being paid or anything. This is really just the way I feel about the game. Yeah, so this game has a progression system that's the same as Black Ops 6 and games that were before Modern Warfare 2019, where there's 10 prestiges, and then you hit Prestige Master, and then you get to level 1000, which it was like that from Black Ops 3 in 2015 all the way up until Black Ops 4 in 2018, and then they changed it up for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. But then, like, Cold War did, like, this weird seasonal prestige thing where, like, every new season that would come out, they would add 3 prestiges, I guess, to keep people playing all year, and then they'd add those 3 prestiges, but then once you finish those prestiges, you would go from... You would be like level 100, and then you could get to level 150, which would be a new prestige. But it wouldn't actually. It would just give you basically be a fake prestige. I don't. It was a really weird system. I thought it was fine, I guess, but whatever. So it's still a classic prestige system, like it was in Black Ops 6. The challenges in this game, I think, are standard challenges, standard calling card shit, whatever. The rewards that you get, I think, are cool. Like I think there's definitely more rewards in this game than there were in previous games. You get like prestige rewards throughout leveling up, like not just when you prestige you get something special. You'll get like 5 different rewards as you level up through the prestige, which gives a little bit more incentive to prestige, because before it was just to look cool, actually, like in previous Call of Duty games, except Black Ops 6. Like you really didn't get shit, but now you do. And there's more challenges when you prestige and everything, which has been a thing, but yeah. But something that's a big issue with the challenges is that there's calling cards that heavily rely on, at least, generative AI. And I have a problem with that because this is Activision we're talking about. Multi-billion-dollar company. They make games every single year that generate billions of dollars. They can afford to pay a fucking artist to do a goddamn calling card. They don't need to use fucking generative AI. They don't. They just don't. There's no reason to use that. I'm coughing because it pisses me off. They don't need to do that. It's annoying. No reason. But they do it. Anyway, which is stupid, and I'm not going to defend that. I think that's fucking ridiculous, especially because I'm sure that there are calling cards that they are charging people for that are AI generated. That's fucking stupid. Yeah. But anyway, camo progression in this game is really good. It's kind of like a classic system. I mean, you get headshots, whatever. I'm not going to describe the fucking camo system in this game. It's just really good. I think it's good. The Prestige Master, or the Prestige system of weapons, is also pretty good. You prestige weapons twice, and then you get to level 250 Prestige Master, and you unlock more camos that way, which is cool. More camos, the merrier. There's more reasons to grind, more reasons to play the game. That's cool with me, and a lot of them are, I guess people could say, nostalgia bait camos, but I'm happy that they finally brought back Dragon from Black Ops 2. I've used the M8A1 a lot. That's why I'm using it in my zombies footage, because I love that camo and I really want to unlock it, and I think it's cool that they have that option, and I I don't know. I mean, if people are complaining about nostalgia bait, that's one thing. But I mean, they're bringing back camos that you just earn in game from playing. Like it's they could have charged for it, like they originally did. These are the dragon camo. I don't think it might have been a microtransaction camo, but weaponized 115 and afterlife and Benjamin and Bacon, those definitely all were actually paid for back in Black Ops 2. But they're not now, so that's cool. And you can unlock them. Yeah, and then there's, of course, classic microtransactions. They just finally added the store to the game. And looking at it, it's whatever. I don't really care. None of the shit is anything I would care to buy. I don't think it's anything most people would care to buy. I don't think there really ever is anything that I've literally never once bought anything from any shops, by the way, in Call of Duty. I just don't care for the microtransactions. The farthest I have ever went in Call of Duty microtransactions is buying the battle pass, and that's it. And I like buying the battle pass, whatever. If I've only ever bought it like once, and then I've just continued to unlock them for years, and so I don't really have to worry about paying for them. So you know, just standard shit. I mean, I don't really like microtransactions that much naturally, of course, but at least it's not as bad as it was. And if you're still sitting here complaining about Call of Duty microtransactions in the big 25, you should kill yourself. Let's get real. Call of Duty's not just going to remove the shop. That's just not going to happen because there's fucking stupid people that are going to buy it. And if you're stupid and you want to pay $20 for a skin in a first-person game, go right ahead. I don't care. Do what you want to do. It's your money. I'm not gonna judge you for it. You know, it's what you do. I don't think you're stupid if you do it. I guess whatever. People spend their money how they want to. I personally value my money, so I don't do that. But you know, I don't really think it's any great of a reason to complain, because the way that I think about it is that I look back to Black Ops 4 and every game before that. I think between Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 4, and including those games, there was a season pass that was $60. So you basically would be spending $120 on the Call of Duty game so that you could get all of the gameplay content that for the year. Because you would get the main game, and then throughout the year before the next Call of Duty game would come out, they would add new maps to the game. And it was basically just maps, actually. From what I remember and believe, it was just maps. So you get new zombies maps and you get new multiplayer maps. And that was a weird breath I just took, but that would be it for the whole year. And you would pay for that. So you'd basically be spending $120 on Call of Duty every single year. And if you wanted to have all the content in the game. Now they're charging for only cosmetic, completely optional shit. But everything that would have otherwise been in a season pass, you're getting for free every year. And not only that, you're getting it for free, and you're getting new weapons added to the game, which wasn't something they did until Advanced Warfare. And, well, I guess except they did a couple. I think they might have done a couple Guns and Ghosts, and they did the Peacekeeper in Black Ops 2. But that was also part of the DLC. So whatever. My point is, you were paying out the ass before for just to have a complete game with all of the content included. But now you're paying $70, which is, you know, less money, technically, than $60 was a decade ago because of inflation. So really the actual value you're getting for your money is higher than it's really ever been for Call of Duty. And this game has a lot of shit in it that is free and that you don't have to pay for, and you don't have to do anything with microtransactions. Everything in the Battle Pass is completely optional. You're not getting an advantage. It's just weapon shit and maybe some weapon blueprints, which will look cool, but they're all attachments you can just get from playing the damn game. So it's, you know, nothing unfair. I think the way that it is now, and has been, I want to say since Modern Warfare 2019, it might have been with Cold War. I don't know. It might have even been with Black Ops 4. But the way that it is now with microtransactions, I don't think it's ever going to change. I don't love microtransactions, but I think the trade-off to have these type of microtransactions, but there's no season pass and you get everything for free, I think it's a worth it trade, to be honest. I'd rather spend less money and get the entire game than spend more money but not see a store. I mean, you can completely ignore the store and be fine and not be disadvantaged, so I don't really care. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, that's what I think about the shop and multiplayer, whatever. Now let's talk about the zombies. So I haven't really played too much of the zombies. I haven't played that much of Ashes of the Damned. That's because I'm a camo grinder. I love grinding camos, and I've really only grinded camos when playing zombies this year so far. So I don't really have, I'm not going to sit here and make a fake opinion on Ashes of the Damned because I haven't really played it that much. I've only played a couple games of it, and I can say that I think it could be cool and it might have potential. I don't know because I haven't played enough of it, but online people seem to really like that map. And from what I've seen so far of Astra Malorum, which is the new map that they just added in Season 1, people also like that map a lot too. So if you like Astra Malorum a lot, that's cool. If you like Ashes of the Dam, that's also cool. I hope, you know, you enjoy that. That's awesome. I've really just played the little survival maps, which are tiny. But the gameplay is basically Black Ops 6, just a little updated in some small ways in zombies. So if you didn't like Black Ops 6 zombies, you're not going to like Black Ops 7 zombies. But if you did like Black Ops 6 zombies, you're going to like Black Ops 7 zombies. I think it's just a slightly improved version of Black Ops 6 zombies. But I liked Black Ops 6 zombies as well, so I don't really have a problem with that. I think it's fine. But yeah, I'm excited to see more. You know, I'm excited to see where zombies comes from. Oh, I just realized I don't think I said the score for multiplayer. I give it a 7.5 out of 10 though. I think it's pretty good. I think it's like better than the average Call of Duty multiplayer the past few years, I think. But anyway, yeah. So with zombies, yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about it. I mean, they have the perks they've had for a long time. It's basically just black. I mean, I think the zombies is definitely the closest to the previous game experience that there is. Like, Black Ops 7 zombies is basically Black Ops 6 zombies. There's not that much of a difference, except maybe there's like a little bit more aura to it, if that makes sense. Like maybe the vibe is a little better. They brought back Nikolai Takeo Dempsey. That's cool. But yeah, I mean, I like the survival map format. I think that's really cool because that makes it easier to grind for camos, and it's, you know, it's like if you want a shorter game, if you don't want to have the complicated map, you can just do that, and that's cool. So whatever, you know, it is what it is. I think that's fine. I don't really have an issue with the zombies, and I think people seem to be really liking it. People are saying it's better than Black Ops 6, and you know, maps seem good. And I have mostly played survival, but I have really liked the survival. I mean, I do like it more than Black Ops 6 Zombies, at least, and I did really like Black Ops 6 Zombies. So depending on what the maps are for the next year, we'll see. But as of right now, I want to give it an 8 out of 10. I mean, from what I've seen online, people don't really complain about it that much. People have been really liking it, but yeah. So I think, you know, the nostalgia bait thing is a little bit silly. I don't know. That's just what I think. But I think this game does have a lot more future potential. I think people have whined too much about this game. I don't think it's awful, but I also don't think it's the best game ever. I think generally I've enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed it more than the previous Call of Duties, and I think that's kind of important. I mean, you know, I'd hope that the game's improved year after year, and in my opinion they have. So, yeah, with that being said, I think that I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. And, you know, if I was taking the average from the scores, if I was taking the 8 from zombies and the 7.5 for multiplayer, and the 3 for campaign and the 6 for endgame, then the average would be a lot lower than that. But let's keep in mind that not every aspect of the game really weighs the same. If you think the campaign matters in Call of Duty just as much as multiplayer or even zombies at this point, then you're fucking crazy, and that's ridiculous, because Call of Duty campaigns are a one-time experience that are always less than 10 hours, and then you forget about it, and the vast majority of players are there for the multiplayer or the zombies, which they usually will spend dozens of hours on throughout the entire year. So I do not think the campaign should weigh the same at all in a Call of Duty. I mean, it weighs a little. That's why it's a 7 out of 10, even though multiplayer and zombies got the 7.5 and an 8. You know, it weighs, but it just does not weigh as heavily as multiplayer and zombies, I don't think, at all. And I still think endgame is pretty good. So anyways, with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I know I'm just yapping, and there's very few edits. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.